sun, stupefied, helpless, or scrambling like fools to make it home before the rain really comes down and the dry river floods and the hills crash into the valley? Where do we find the courage to do what is right? I came across this passage by novelist Peter Gadol when everybody was getting ready to celebrate the turn of both the century and the millennium. It was a striking description of a malaise with which, to a greater or a lesser extent, many of us were familiar. Gadol's words resonated with me in particular because of my involvement with the Johns Hopkins Civility Project, a cluster of academic and outreach activities aimed at assessing the relevance of civility and good manners in today's society. While working on the project, I had been giving thought to the widely perceived decline in the quality of social interaction, the so-called coarsening of America. Gadol's words on the end of the 20th century apply to the beginning of the new century as well. Constant uncertainty about our identities and our future seems at times our only certainty. Long-established values appear obsolete, but to agree on what the new one should be is a daunting task. Quite often, we don't know where to look for standards against which to measure our efforts to be good citizens of the world. In fact, the notion of standards itself has been growing more and more problematic. And yet, we still need to be able to say yes to some things and no to others as a matter of principle and with enough conviction. We still need to believe in something that will give us our vital daily dose of meaning and motivation. As we grapple with the complexities of our age, I suggest in this book that we agree on one principle: that a crucial measure of our success in life is the way we treat one another every day of our lives. Then good manners must be inspired by the good heart. There is no beautifier of complexion or form or behavior like the wish to scatter joy and not pain around us. Ralph Waldo Emerson. When we lessen the burden of living for those around us, we are doing well. When we add to the misery of the world, we are not. To me, this is a simple, practical philosophy that makes sense and feels right. And since I started speaking in public on these issues several years ago, I have discovered that it makes sense and feels right to people from every walk of life and every part of the world. How are we to carry out the business of living day in and day out in accordance with this premise? I propose that as a society, we take a new, close look at that intriguing code of behavior based on respect, restraint, and responsibility that we call civility. M. Scott Peck chose to open his wise guidebook to smart, decent, and loving living with an utterly plain and clear statement. Life is difficult, is the founding truth of his work, one he connects to life is suffering, the first of the four noble truths taught by Buddha. Of course, countless versions of this truth appear in wisdom literature throughout history. Life is difficult. I like the simplicity of the utterance. We can all benefit from basic truths stated in direct and simple language. In the hasty confusion of our days, we easily lose sight of basic truths. As we fail to make them part of our everyday thinking, we eventually become unable to recognize them clearly and confront them effectively. And so we stumble through life in a cloud of dust raised by our own misguided steps. When we manage to make real contact with a basic truth, sometimes we are inspired to act upon it, and thus we may change our lives radically and permanently. Greatness is not just in the truth itself, but in what we can do with it. Once we truly know that life is difficult, once we truly understand and accept it, then life is no longer difficult, says M. Scott Peck. Now, we may be able to reach this wisdom and strength, or we may not. All of us, however, can find ways to cope effectively with difficulty. That life is difficult is the founding truth of any book that offers practical help. Millions of pages would not have been written if life were not difficult, and we didn't need help coping with its challenges.